Guy in Blue Ash can do all that shit. You just got to schedule it.
Yeah, that's true.
The window might be another thing, or I can give you Nick Miracle's number. He's right down the road at Blue Ash Road and Sycamore Road by the railroad.
Now, is he a business or is he like an owned, like he does his own?
It's his father-in-law's like worker shop.
Okay.
I mean, he can do. I don't know if he'll do the windows. That might be a glass company type place.
Yeah, that's fine. You know, it's just that little rattle.
Babies will be born to heroin-addicted mothers. Courts will take children from addicted parents. Taxpayers will spend heavily to lock up drug users. People will overdose in gas stations and parks and school parking lots. It's the first day of another week of the heroin epidemic. Over the next 7 days in greater Cincinnati, at least 180 people will overdose. 18 will die. This is normal now. This is a typical week. Here's Court Renee in Hamilton County. It's the first stop for those arrested the night before on heroin charges. On this morning, as on most, 1 in 4 cases on the docket is directly connected to heroin. They come from wealthy neighborhoods and poor. They are young and old, parents and grandparents, sons and daughters. Sometimes they are brought here hours after they almost died from an overdose. Sometimes they don't make it to court. Heroin and other opiates kill 1 American every 16 minutes. That's more than die in traffic crashes.
Cincinnati 911, what is your drug address? 49 Glenwood Avenue, Cookdale Library. My children's library is asked for to explain no addiction.
Hello, this is Cincinnati 911. Yes, please, sir. My brother is trying to overdose. Where's he at? Can you tell me the trip man's pulse or the heartbeat?
I got a phone call. She was off. I couldn't understand her. And I said, I think she's telling me my baby's dead. No, it's not real. No, I don't know. It feels like there's soul in your body. It felt like somebody just blasted me in the chest with the shotgun. That's what it felt like. I guess they see it so much, they just look at it like, well, there's another dumbass, whatever, that corner said, I deal with this every day. And they kind of, what we deal with this? And I said, yeah, well, I don't deal with this every day. I've got to deal with every day very much. Every day my child's dead. I don't deal with that every day. But how would you go through 100 jobs today? They didn't let me see, which I didn't believe it. I said, nah, it ain't time. He had been using this country for a year. He said, Mom, look, I promise you, Mommy, I will never do heroin again. He said, Mom, that stuff they got every day. He said, it's not heroin. He said, it's intentionally made to kill you. So what happened to baby? One of those shot heroin again.
By the end of the night, at least 20 people in greater Cincinnati have overdosed. 4 have died. In the early morning, Covington police raid a house for drugs and guns. It's a constant battle to keep up as demand for heroin rises. Heroin is big business, and cartels from Mexico want to cash in. They flood markets like greater Cincinnati with drugs and rely on street dealers to find customers. Police go after those dealers, but if one goes down, another is always ready to step in.
There's no overdose right in front of the church. You see a needle man right there. That's what it is now. What it is now.
Yeah, I have it over here. Let me get it. That was my life class. They put me 2 in a row here, so. Somehow all the social work classes are in this room, unless I have a lot of classrooms.
No, they just go on a case visit and they just have time.
I was gonna go over there to take some more stuff out of it, but, I realized we started in 10 minutes. So, you guys got any fun weekend plans? Homecoming's next month, or is it?
Homecoming is next month.
Is it next month?
Homecoming is, that's actually the week of my birthday.
Okay. Is it like the first week of October or something?
I was gonna say it's in this,
Okay.
that's homecoming, so I'll be.
I guess we did start early this year.
Yeah, last year freshman moved in on the 19th, and I think like sophomore, juniors, and senior moved in like the 27th.
Oh yeah, I want to put up my genogram because this is your first assignment. You guys get to try and make one of these. I still can't believe AI made it for me.
So do you want us to actually like draw ours out?
You can use Gemini if you want to, but most people, in the past, that was the only option. You could pay for a service that did this, or you just draw it. You would just put like me in the middle, mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, 3 generations. I did 4 here because I included my kids, but this is what it would look like. So you always start with you in the middle. And the reason we make it is because in therapy, you always assess people like this. So, it might be using more words, but the pictures do help because it shows all the connections. So when I was in social work school, they made me make one of these. When I learned how to make one of these, I can now do this with my clients. And the easiest thing is to think, you start with yourself in the middle, then you go up to your mom and dad, and whether you want your 3 generations to be like younger than you or the 3 generations to be older. I did both just to show you. I had both my grandparents here. I don't know why I didn't put in the years, but it shows this side all died of cancer. And I think it's, red cancer. This side all died of heart stuff like strokes and heart attacks. And you do it because you want to see the genetics, like what runs in our family, what runs in my client's family that could be a stressor in their life. Yep. Perfect.
Okay, so like, what did you say we should do if we don't, like, if nobody knows something about one of my relatives?
Sometimes that happens. You do your best. Like, think if you had a client come in who was adopted and they don't know anything. Well, they could at least tell you about their adopted family. Or like, who raised you? What was it like? What kind of neighborhood was it? And we'll get into that more in detail. But more important, like, I was the only one of my 5 siblings who had a divorce. It was amicable. I just wanted kids. She didn't. And that, that happens a lot. More often nowadays than it did in the past, you know what I mean? Because she did end up dying.
Yes, what?
December of last year. And so she was 37. So that's crazy. And it may have been alcoholism or a pack a day smoking. 3 of my siblings had that disease called hemochromatosis, so that's genetic to me too. Like, I'm a carrier of hemochromatosis. It means I carry it's too much iron. So it's spelled like this, hemochromatosis. And I have the date of birth. I had my 4 kids that we had 4 kids in 4 years, which is kind of crazy to do. All my kids are after I turned 42. I'm almost 50, so for her to be 18, I'll be 65, but I just gotta stay healthy, I guess. My sister just found out her husband has cancer, so I put that one in there. He's called red. It's lymphoma. Anybody ever heard of lymphoma?
Lymphoma?
Yeah. I don't know what it means all the way, but because maybe they swell up or something. Like, okay. So I think he has a kind that is treatable. There's a kind that really doesn't get treated well, and one kind that you can treat it. So hopefully he's okay because they have 3 kids, 2015, 2017, and 2020. What else do I have here? Oh yeah, X is deceased. So I don't know if but yeah, all my grandparents died. Lung cancer, breast cancer, stroke, and heart attack. You could put if you or your parents are a first generation college student, because that's a big deal. So you can put like good stuff. It doesn't have to be all bad stuff, but knowing that there's alcoholism on both sides of my family was helpful for me to know. And good for me to know for my kids too. So that would be the genogram. You do as best you can with all the info you have. You'll learn how to make it on yourself, because at some point you're going to make one of these with your client, or you're going to do an assessment with a client that like says all the details of what they have in life. So I don't think that's due for like another 7 or 10 days. I can't remember. That's the first assignment. So we also were kind of finishing up having a baby, making a baby, we all know how to do. Having a baby, not all of us know how to do. I don't, because I've never had a baby, but I've watched my wife have them and helped her with them, and it's a lot of freaking work.
Did you pass out?
What's that?
Did you pass out?
I didn't like cutting the umbilical cord. Like, I thought that was just weird. You're like cutting through skin. And I've been told you need to keep it connected longer. Like if you keep them connected for an hour after birth, because there's still all this important nutrients passing through the umbilical cord, But the hospitals are push fast, get it done, and take your, what's that thing called that attaches to you? We have it up here. They take this thing, that placenta, because it's worth like $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. You can keep it, but it's not easy, you know what I mean? Like some
My aunt kept her and she got they made pills out of hers and she took the pills. I guess it's like good for nutrients.
Yep, it is. Some cultures eat them or cook them up with their eggs. We don't here, but I guess you could. So, my kids all weigh like 6.5, 7.5, 8.5 pounds. So, my 5-year-old pulled the fire alarm on his 5th day of school today. So I don't know what they're going to do with that. I mean, I got in trouble, but not like that. I don't know. I hear it happens all the time. That's what my wife said. She's like, oh, they do that all the time. What? I think that's bad. Don't they like charge you for the police coming and stuff?
And that's evacuate the school.
Mm-hmm. In kindergarten.
Right.
So you got the 1 through 8 evacuating. I mean, that doesn't sound good to me.
No.
So that's the joys of parenting.
The good thing is he was too young to get suspended.
Right. You said somebody usually gets suspended.
I think he's too young to.
What age do they start suspending them at?
I think grade school, but he's only 5, so.
I mean, I got suspended and expelled, so I know what that's like.
I flooded the classroom in kindergarten. I did 3 rolls of tissue in the toilet.
In kindergarten?
I mean, that's how you learn.
That's
you know,
when
you
our restroom was in the classroom.
Really? Oh yeah, okay, right. They had like a toilet. But did it keep running then when you flushed it, the water?
Just ran out.
Because now they have a flap that stops, like it only flush a certain amount, I think. I don't know. I can't remember. But yeah, or you just throw it all in the sink and just run it.
But even with the glass, they run over.
Does it? Yeah, right.
You clog it, and I thought.
Well, what happened on our house we moved into last year, my 2-year-old filled it up. And luckily, the home builder took responsibility because they said the flap didn't stop it. And they kept running and it flooded the whole kitchen, the living room, 3 days after moving in. And then they said, we'll fix it because the flap didn't stop. And it should have like stopped it after 5 counts.
Right.
So I don't know. I'll definitely have to do my self-care and not get stressed out. I don't know. We qualify for free and reduced lunch, so that shows how Central State pays their teachers. I don't even know what the cutoff is for free and reduced lunch. Is it 150% of poverty? Like, anybody know that? I guess that's an AI question. I was going to show you the Line Poverty, the movie called The Line. It's well done, but how do we qualify for free and reduced lunch in Ohio? Usually AI answers it. Oh, so it's not even 150, it's 130%. So I can get a raise this year. That's kind of nice. I think we're at 150 because my student loan payments are still at 0. If you're at 150% of poverty, your student loan is 0. And then if you make above 150, you pay 10% of that. And then if you work at a public school, or most social workers work at a public job, after 10 years, they're forgiven. And I hope they keep that, because I borrowed like $250,000 for a doctorate. So 40,000 for a family of 4. Reduced price meals, so automatic eligibility, how to apply. Okay, so there you go. Other birth things that come up, we're talking about. Most people have their kids 18 to 35. I know we were, 3 of my wife's 4 pregnancies were called geriatric. That means you're 35 or older. She was 35, 37, and 39 for our last 3. And then, well, we had a baby in June of 2020, May of 2021, December 2022, and then September 2024. 4 kids. So, okay, yeah, this is one I always hit on because I didn't know this till college. Sexually transmitted illnesses can be transferred during pregnancy. So one thing is like, if you have herpes and there's an outbreak, if you have the kid, it can get it all over itself. So they'll usually do like cut you open. What's that? Cesarean. One thing C-section. And cold sores can become herpes. So this is something to know in college. Not everybody knows this.
Cold sores are herpes.
They are. So if you have a partner and you kiss them, they can get on their mouth. You kiss some other places, they can get any mucous membrane. So it's important to know that because people don't know that as a college student. I didn't know that as a college student. So I was glad somebody taught me that because that's just important information for when you get married, for whatever it is. So however, I didn't know that, the little cut on your lip when you're stressed out, that's what it is.
I never understood how that is herpes. Like, I never got that. I have family members, like little kids, like people that I know, like, who get those.
Yes.
How? Why?
Well, 80% of Americans have herpes virus. So there's herpes simplex 1 that's usually in the mouth. Herpes simplex 2 is usually down low.
They say some sexually transmitted disease, I don't even know all the time.
Yeah, they could have drank on a cup after their sibling drank off a cup. Does that answer the question? So they could have spread it amongst. But I remember growing up in 5th grade, I had a friend, I wanted to drink after him. He's like, what, do you think I had AIDS or something? Like, that was big in the 80s. And they'd say, you think I had AIDS? But you can get herpes from drinking off of a cup. And somebody who had a cold sore is herpes. So I found that to be important. If you do have it while pregnant, they'll do a cesarean section so the baby comes out here and isn't exposed to it. Drug use. They say the first poop, I'm going to close that door. The first poop the baby has, they can test drugs all the way back to 5 months. So just some of the details of pregnancy. They can do a sonogram now. China and India have currently 30 million less women than they have men. And that was because of selective abortion. So like an ultrasound that shows a girl, China had a one-child policy. They wanted all their babies to be a boy. So that's kind of what happened. And through China off balance, India had similar stuff happen. So there's a lot of research on that. Any questions on babies or any thoughts people have about having kids? The birth rate is so low nowadays. 1.6 kids per couple in America, which is 1.6 kids. And our replacement is 2.1 kids per couple. Because you want to maybe have a boy and a girl. If all things are perfect, you replace the male and the female. Obviously, things aren't perfect. Other countries are having more kids. That's why we still have a population growth that's huge. It's just not in America or Europe.
You know what the reason for
It started in 1971, they said.
that it went down?
Yeah, last time we were at replacement, 2.1 kids per couple was the 70s. And after that, some people correlate it to the legalization of abortion in 1971, because you could be like, that's not convenient, I'm not having the kid. Other people talk about more 2 working families or 2 jobs. In the 70s, 1 job could pay for a whole family. Now, 2, 2.5, 3, or 4 jobs per family to pay for kids. It's crazy. Because of inflation. Oh, I was going to tell you guys about the inflation stuff. Do you remember what I was saying at the end of class last time? Yes. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And do you remember what was a $20 bill?
You sound like it was the word.
What was $20 100 years ago?
It was like 4,000 to like $6,000.
There it is. Yeah. So an ounce of gold was $20 in 1933. But then the Great Depression happened, and if you were going to buy this same coin now, it's $4,200. So a $20 double gold eagle. Do you know what a $1 bill was back then? It was a silver dollar, so an ounce of silver. And so they always said like $20, which was an ounce of gold back then. It would always buy you a fine suit. So that would probably be true nowadays. They're saying it's $500 a day. To buy one of these, it's $4,000. Pretty sure. So yeah, that was your $20 bill back in 1933. That's a $20 bill. It's crazy. And then if you went to buy this today, I guess it was this dude that got rid of it. FDR, I guess, was it FDR? So yeah, if you wanted to buy a $20 bill from 100 years ago, it cost $4,469.62. So, during the coronavirus, you guys were all old enough to remember what happened during COVID? I'm guessing. We had $3 trillion in circulation all over the United States. Try to guess how much money we put into circulation after coronavirus. I was told we doubled our money supply, so we had $6 trillion in 2021. We had $3 trillion in circulation in 2020. All those stimmy checks, you remember the stimulus checks? Exciting at the time, good for those of us who needed it, but the next year it doubled all of the expenses that we had, like with inflation like this. So, you guys ever seen this thing before? The US debt clock? Let me see here. There's a better one that's like this. There we go. That's the one I'm looking for. So, I describe inflation as a social worker. What it means is inflating the money supply. So like from 3 trillion to 6 trillion. Now the one benefit we get as social workers is we bill our insurances, we bill Medicare, we bill Medicaid. So like printed money funds a lot of the services we do. So luckily we can be paid for that. The scary thing is that the stuff we buy also is effectively inflating the money supply. So I didn't know we hit 40 trillion. Anybody know that? I remember they kept saying 39 trillion. And I guess today we hit 40 trillion. I don't know how long it takes to go up. So debt per citizen, we all have about 116,000 per debt. Debt per taxpayer is 360,000. What are some other? The military spending kind of blows my mind. So right here, the defense war is $946 billion a year. Medicare, Medicaid, that's what I'm saying we can kind of pay for with, I can bill Medicare, Medicaid, I work at hospice, and that's where the payments come from, is Medicare and Medicaid. I didn't know they had the fraud clock, but that looks like a lot of fraud. And then, oh yeah, they had dollar to silver ratio is, so 100 years ago it was $2.70 per ounce. Now the dollar to silver ratio is 1,475 per ounce. And then the dollar to gold ratio is 11,600. Those are hard to understand, but it just kind of shows you all the stuff that costs money. And kind of how we're affected by it. So, any questions in terms of making a baby, having a baby, and keeping the baby alive? Because I was going to jump over to here. This is a poverty documentary. It's called The Line. And it is about poverty in America. And it's only, yeah, we'll be done like about 3:30. Oh yeah,
The have and have-nots. The line. The place that people on the bottom are trying to get to, and the place that people on the top are trying to keep from going below. They don't want to look below either. They don't want to see what's down there because that'll make them feel too guilty about being above it.
The line is the firing line at which people face survival or death. And sometimes the person holding the gun is their neighbor, and sometimes it's their congressman or their alderman who's not doing enough to help them.
The line is where you're always in a position to give help. And then for the first time, this line of I've gone from being somebody who could help to being somebody who needs help.
There's a certain amount of pride that comes in being independent. And there's a certain amount of shame that comes into having to beg for every little thing that you get.
Maybe higher today if this is a little older.
$3,000 is no money here. And yet I can still see families who make $35,000, who are still poor, who are still about to lose their home, who still can't afford groceries.
When you start trying to tell people about poverty, they start making excuses and making heartless statements about why people are in poverty, and they don't even have a clue. They don't even have a clue.
Some of the most prevalent and damaging stereotypes about poor people are that they're lazy, that they're stupid, they don't have any skills, prefer poverty, that they can't take care of their families.
Poor people are working harder, just trying to keep their heads above water than we can even imagine. It's hard.
It doesn't matter if you have to stand in line and kind of feel bad about yourself, that you're a failure. You have to cross that line to be able to keep the lights on, to be able to keep feeding kids.
That could be you without a house, wondering if they're gonna go put you out. But for the grace of God, because a lot of these people had jobs, had degrees, did everything right, but the bottom fell out. And that bottom of that line, they went below that line.
DuPage County is considered one of the richest counties in the state of Illinois, probably one of the top 50 counties in the country as far as per capita income. So there are a lot of well-educated, middle-class, upper middle-class people that live here. There's also the part of the county that people don't talk about. There's the about 10% of the population that lives at below the federal poverty line.
How you doing? Good morning. Here you go. You're all set. Okay, you just have a seat over there. Okay, thanks.
I remember the first time I tried to go, I just couldn't do it. I drove there and I sat there and I couldn't get out of the car. And then the second time I got out of the car, went in line, and then just got either impatient or just sort of embarrassed and just kind of walked away. Because you just don't want to admit that you're that defeated. You've been brought up never to be a charity case, never to have to ask for help. And all of a sudden you're in a position where you got nowhere else to go. And it's hard.
You're here for food pantry today.
Right.
And your birthday back with Jason?
Yes,
Good. All right. How old is Jason?
it's gonna be 12.
Suburban poverty is now at currently higher rate than urban poverty. It's been a tidal wave over the last 5 years, whereas maybe before it was a trickle, now it's just suddenly, people standing outside the door of the food pantry waiting for us to open. There's a desperation, and all the organizations haven't been ready to deal with the numbers of people coming through their doors. Private organizations are a drop in the bucket compared to the federal assistance programs, and so I think there's got to be a partnership. We certainly know that we have a responsibility to do the job that we're doing, and we want to do the job we're doing, but we can't do it alone. we need the resources of the government to help.
She said 2 from here.
Right.
And 1 from here. Okay. Okay.
Applesauce.
All right. 1 box of cereal. Okay. All right. Should I go healthy or what the kids like?
Everyone comes here. It's people that have grown up in Harvey to people that had 6-figure jobs that were running companies that have lost their job. So they're at the end of the rope and they end up here because they don't have anywhere else to turn.
I'm 48 years old and I have 3 kids, single dad, got a daughter 17, and 2 sons that are 14 and 11. Gonna be 12 and 2 start Wednesday, so. Okay. All right. I was in banking, a senior vice president, making 6 figures. I was very comfortable. Then the last bank I was at was acquired, went out for my own and started to organize banks kind of at the perfect wrong time, the perfect storm, and kind of everything fell apart from that. My wife at that time filed for divorce because we were in an affluent town, kind of the stress of all that took its toll on our marriage, and pretty much that was it. I had to decide what I was going to do with the rest of my life. I had always in the back of my mind thought about teaching. My mom was a teacher, my grandmother was a teacher, my sister was a teacher, so I kind of thought, well, maybe this is my signal to make that transition. Sometimes you just feel like you're sending your resume into a black hole. You know, you talk, to the principal or you follow up and they're like, we've got 4,000 applicants. And you're like, okay, how do I get noticed? How do I do anything? Pretty much I've been on my own for 2 years, trying to make by on substitute teaching income, trying to make by on any tutoring income I can get on the side. In substitute teaching, you're looking at $85 to $100 a day, depending if you get called into work that day. And usually it's last minute. You may get a phone call at 5:30 in the morning. For me, best case, if I'm working almost every day, I can make $12,000. That would be the best I could do. I never thought I would be in that position. I was a straight A student, I got a high ACT, went to a great school, graduated high honors. Everything was roses, everything's perfect in your life. Coffee, always desperate for coffee. You have to work really hard to find a way to get by. The government isn't really seeking you out to say, we want to help you get you back on your feet. All the bread you want? Oh, the bread? Okay. All right. I'm insulted if somebody says, John, you're just lazy. You're just not trying. You just don't care. I'm like, I care. I care more than anybody. Thank you very much. It's sort of like being at a grocery store where not everything's been put on the shelf, but you just have to do the best you can and hope you get enough that can help you to get through each month. So you kind of put your own choices to the back burner because you just have to try to look and say, what do you really need?
I think that there's a real divide in this country and that people are struggling. The people that maybe are sort of untouched by the recession think that, unemployment is going down and, things are starting to look up, businesses are starting to hire people. They're not seeing those people that have really, really been struggling for a long, long time.
You have to make choices sometimes about what bills you're gonna pay. And I've had my gas shut off, I've had my electric shut off. It's horrifying. It's embarrassing when kids go to turn on something that doesn't work. It's the most horrible feeling in the world. Kids just don't get it. I think that's been the hardest thing, is just to answer the questions. My youngest son, I'm just saying, Dad, when are you gonna get your car fixed? And it's like, well, when I can, I've gotten used to checking for the expiration dates sometimes. You just gotta be careful. Not that you're angry, you're grateful that you get what you get, but one time I got like some Velveeta that somebody donated. It was like 5 years old. It was like a black brick. But I'm hoping that I can hold on for at least another year, maybe. I really want to be around for them, so moving isn't an option for me. I just feel like I've aged so much. It's like a constant kind of throbbing in your mind of like, what am I going to do? I don't want to worry about this anymore, but you just don't know how to stop it. You're doing everything that every person says is the right thing to do, the right steps to follow, but it's not happening. And what if it doesn't happen? What if it doesn't happen fast enough?
I do think that a lot of the violence and a lot of what is going on right now is associated with people who are living with post-traumatic stress disorder. Trauma is simply a sudden shift in the ways in which we understand life and make meaning. Trauma in a psychological or more psychosocial sort of sense in which I'm poor now. Wow, what am I supposed to do? Or the other experience of people who have lived in poverty their entire life, and their mother did, and their grandmother did, and their grandmother did. So there have been generations of poverty, and there's a more deeper trauma, which is affiliated with this sort of nihilism or this sense of meaninglessness and hopelessness that says we will always be this way. This will always be the case.
We're on Monroe and Pulaski, and it's considered K-Town from Pulaski to Laramie because of the Karloff Keeter case. And this is where I grew up, in this house, with my family, my father, my mother, my 2 sisters, and 3 brothers. My sister was going to play for church, which was about a block that way, about 2 blocks over. And she was walking, it was late, around 10, so she was coming down around the corner. She was shot and killed. She was shot in the head and killed. Police never came, they came for that night, but there was never an investigation, so as far as I'm concerned, they never found out who actually killed her. But that destroyed our family, pretty much. That was the beginning of the end of the family that we knew. Just one woman. We never recovered, one woman. And we never recovered. I think the thing that bothers me the most is that my sister wasn't a statistic. She had a name. She had family. She had people that loved her, who depended on her for their survival, literally for their survival emotionally. And it's hard for me even to come down this block. It's a long time that I can even drive down to this block because I always think about the day that I heard the noise.
It's crazy in these streets, and it's hard right now to start judging. But when you get enough
So I go by Jay Quest, and my music is what my ministry is. It's around helping people understand that you're human and that you have a ton of possibility and a ton of potential inside of you. And we need to hear that more in these communities of poverty. People are killing each other for some very plain reasons, because whether they're poor or not, in terms of a quantitative measurement, they feel poor. They feel like they need more. They feel less than human. They feel offended by their government. They feel offended by their neighbor.
Most of the young people where I grew up on AK Town, they didn't expect to live past 18, 20. Because their friends are dying like, around them. Like this is literally a war. They never know from one day to the next. If you're gonna wake up and your friend is gonna be gone, or it's gonna be you. So there is no hope. You know why they're not so keen on education? Because education means you plan to have a future. They don't plan to have a future. They think that the streets are going to kill them. That's their reality. One of my first jobs was working at a bank downtown. And when I would say to people where I came from, where I lived, they would be so shocked. Really? You lived over there? Because they don't expect people from Cape Town or certain areas to be able to get out and get good jobs and to actually look like success. I was one of the youngest supervisors at the bank. And I didn't have my first child till I was 30. I didn't have to depend on anyone, and all the bottom fell out in one fall. It's just all the bottom fell out. There was a school. My boot got caught in school and I fell head first, 14 feet, into a wall. I broke my arm into two places. I knocked my brain into my spinal column. So it's caused me to start having strokes. I ended up having brain surgery where they had to take a big piece of my skull out so my brain could breathe. It took me 15, 20 years to finally get back to where I could be up and around. And keep in mind, I had a 7-month-old, a 2-year-old, and a 6-year-old. I knew I needed to leave, to move out of that neighborhood when my son turned 7.
So I had a lot of fun as a child, running up and down the block. I didn't realize that I was around one of the biggest drug operations right behind my house. There was a lot of stuff being sold in and out through there. They'd ask me to take something to someone else. Now, I've done that in the building, and I didn't even realize what I was doing. I was just delivering, thinking, hey, they asked me to take this down.
Some of these little boys I knew were bad news. He didn't, but I knew. This house that we live in now used to belong to my parents, and then when my father passed, the house was just too much for my mother to handle. And so my sister, my brother, myself, we all moved out here to live with my mom, and together we made it a community home, which is what, quite often happens when people are trying to, get out of a bad situation. Right after, about a year after my accident, I realized that I would not do the same. And I went on disability. And disability gave me $1,000. At that time, it was like $900 a month. I had 3 children. They gave me $900 a month for me, and they gave me $122, I think, for each child. Keep in mind, that's to pay my rent,
I had food stamps, but it wasn't a lot, so a lot of times we would run out of food stamps. Giving my children hope, that was the hard part, because they went to a private school, so they lived with all these people who were very well off, who drove nice cars, whose parents were giving them credit cards to spend carte blanche. And then they came back here, and I'm saying, no, we don't buy name brand gym shoes. No, we're not going up to eat. We gotta do whatever mama's got to cook. It was disappointing from a mother's point, because I wanted to give them the best. And I always thought when I had my children, I was gonna be able to shower them. That was my desire. And as I think most parents, that was my desire, but I wasn't able to do that.
I was born and raised in this little town called Davant, Louisiana, in 1945. Just about everyone in this community had done fishing of one type or another, either crab fishing, shrimping, or oystering, at least part-time. It was a wonderful way to make a living. God gave us a heaven here, a gold mine. It was there for the taking. Anyone that wanted to make a good, honest living could do it. All they needed was a strong back and a little bit of brains. No matter what time of year it was, you were either shrimp, crab, dredging oysters. A person that didn't have any work could come to this marina, go by the conveyance with the unloading in the evening, and hey, I need a job. Okay, show up here tomorrow morning. You had a job. The people of this area, this entire area, depend on the environment. They depend on what God gave us. And God gave us a lot out there. But we didn't know how to take care of it. Just a fall and rise, slowly flowing through my head. Had someone told me 10 years ago that this place would be this dormant, I'd never believe it. I never would have believed it. But it's happened, and it's happened so quickly. It's just unimaginable. I don't know if it's because of the natural disaster that we had with Katrina, or the oil spill. The natural resources are not there anymore. The coastline is washing away. There's places that, when I was in high school, we used to go up and hunt rabbits, and now those places don't exist. They're all gone. They're gone, completely gone. It's a minimum, on average, of 3 years before that oyster's ready for the market to be harvested. Next year there'll be no oysters. For 3 years there won't be any oysters. And this year we had a very low harvest of shrimp. So what's gonna happen? I don't know. I don't have any confidence in the future. Unless we get a drastic change, a sudden change in the amount of seafood and the prices, there's no way that I can continue to do this and survive with it. Because all I'm doing now is losing money. You know? Just can't do it. The numbers don't add up. They just don't add up. Okay. I don't worry about myself that much. It's only just me and Bonnie. We'll survive. But my children, I worry about my children. This community, I've seen a change not only with income, but I can see a change in the people. The people that are still here are not happy anymore. The people were always jobbing. They didn't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow was taken care of. And now everyone's worried. They're all stressed. Catholic Charities was here up until last week, paying people's utilities for them. They couldn't pay them. And now they're gone. They left last week. So a lot of these families that were dependent on that, they don't even have that now. So, in this great United States, believe it or not, we're gonna have people down here that are gonna have their electricity cut off. And they're gonna be living that way. I hope that it gets better. But deep down inside, being realistic, I don't see it. It's just a culture, the whole culture. The whole culture's gone.
Poverty is struggling to make things work. When you have to struggle paycheck to paycheck, that's poverty. You try to fight yourself out of it, but you can't. I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, with my two sisters and my brother, my mother, and my father, until my father decided to just leave the house and leave us by ourselves, which hurt my mother mentally and got her unstable. We would have never survived if welfare didn't approve us and we were getting food stamps every month and stuff. Me, by myself, I wouldn't have been able to do it, and I had to give up, go to college. Went down to the racetrack in New York City with a friend of mine, started hot walking horses coming off the track, and that's where I started working, which was at the racetrack, and turned around and did it for 22 years. It was every day, 365 days a year, and that was it. There was never a day off. I came here to North Carolina after I stopped working at the racetrack, and when you come off of that, everybody's like, okay, so what skill do you have? It's like, you really don't. You know, I had a skill of putting horses on the racetrack. I was in the shelter 3 months. It's a hard thing because North Carolina, the unemployment rate is 9.4. It's one of the highest in the United States. Being in the shelter, I wasn't ashamed of it. I did it on my own. I wasn't there because I used drugs, because I was an alcoholic. I refused to sleep in the street. I wasn't going to get put in jail for sleeping in the street. Every day I used to get up, get dressed, and go out to look for a job and stuff like that. And then when I found out about Jim Noble's restaurant and the church services that they have here, and I introduced myself.
It is a 501c faith-based, not-for-profit restaurant. That's unusual. In fact, there's not been many done like this, I don't think. And it really has two parts. One is to help raise money for a nonprofit state. We give all the profits away to help people poor. Secondly, King's Kitchen Restoration Program, which is a discipleship, life-changing program to help people get back on their feet through on-the-job training, obviously, Bible study, discipleship. Even though it's a ministry, we also are a restaurant, and we have to compete, and we have to execute, and we have to run the restaurant and fall. And this is not an easy industry to be in anyway. Restaurant business is tough.
I came here and I volunteered here, and they told me as a dishwasher, I've never worked in a restaurant before.
Cole, we got a 4-time getting up.
And it shocked everybody how fast I pick it up. When I put my mind to something that I really want to do, I know I can do it.
I'll come with a big tray.
Thank you for coming to King's Kitchen this afternoon. This is James, I'm in the city. One day, Chef Jesse came up to me. He goes, we all came together and we're hiring you. I said, you kidding? He goes, start tomorrow.
Would you like me to take the bill for you?
Is everything okay?
Please come back.
And when I started working here, they worked with my hours down at the shelter. They saved me a bed. And when I got my first paycheck, I looked in the paper and saw this place and took the bus down there, filled out the application, and there was a one-bedroom apartment ready. And that was the last time the shelter saw me. When I got off the bus, I put my hand in my pocket and I had the keys to my old place. And when I opened up the door, I was like, you're home. The first thing that I did, I called up my 2 sisters and my brother. Your brother is just fine. Your brother's fine. And my sister goes, you out in the shelter? I said, yeah. I said, I got my whole place and everything.
These are the only dishes that will not come here.
8 months later, I'm still here. I'm the head bus boy.
Please come again.
I love work. I don't stop. When I come in the morning, I get here an hour before my shift starts. How you doing? How's everything? My income right now, I would make in a year between about $11,000 to $15,000. People in poverty live in poverty-stricken areas. People who have money don't even go close to where those people live. You think they worry about who's living on the street? No, because they were never part of it. And if you're not part of it, why do you think about it? Try to climb the ladder by yourself sometimes. It's hard. I don't judge people, and I hope that people don't judge me, and that's how I've always lived.
is important for people who are in poverty, because that's the only thing that's gonna stop them from making a desperate move to make life better. If you have no hope and you don't think Superman's coming, you may jump yourself. And when I say jump, I don't mean killing yourself, I mean making rash decisions and doing things that may be even uncharacteristic for yourself, but because you're so desperate.
We cannot be silent while that happens. We cannot say, oh, well, that's on them. No, systems need to be broken to stop poverty. Too. Policy needs to change in order to stop poverty. And there need to be people in place who can properly change policy to help poverty. At the same time, there are people who need to know that there's a way out of this and need to know that they are more than their poverty. Because I believe that if we tell people that they are better than they think they are, that they will do better than they think they can.
This is not the end.
Every other day, you'll see like gang violence going on outside of the school, or kids fighting. But what really keep me calm is either drawing or playing basketball.
What? We'll bring young people. We bring young people in, and most of them have already either dropped out or are in situations where they're not doing well in school.
My life story. Where I come from. So.
This component is around adding creativity to their life. Creativity and dignity, the two key words here, and saying, okay, you have not only something to learn in terms of math and science towards getting your GED, but you have a story to tell. You've seen something. And what I want to do is help you tell that story. We want to help you tell that story, because once you can tell that story, you can own your life. You own your identity. So helping them to tell those stories is one way of giving them hope in the midst of what they're going through. Poor is not what you are. Poor is part of what you are, and it's a situation that can change.
This is not the end of this. We'll open our eyes wide, wide. This is not our last. This is not our last word. We will open our eyes.
I started a nonprofit called Born to Be Light, and I came up with a pledge. Born to Be Light is a nonprofit organization dedicated to the aggressive promotion of nonviolence. And you take the pledge, and the pledge is right on the front, and it says, I wear this band to take a stand against violence. I pledge to be the change you see in my home and community, because I'm a light. So I go around to the schools and communities and functions, and I have the people wear the bands, and I have them take the pledge. And it works. It really works. So I'm not just sitting back waiting for somebody to give me something. I'm trying to help myself, I'm trying to help my community. I understand that people might look at me and say, well, you're getting a handout, you're on disability. But I promise you, if I could be anything but on disability, I would. And I've done everything that I can do to make myself better. I've written a book. I've gone back to school. I've done a CD. I do outreach programs. I do everything that I'm supposed to do. So the fact that I'm still on disability is still a fault of mine. Since my accident, I haven't had one day that I haven't had pain, but it hasn't stopped me from going to school and being on the dean's list and a president scholar. It hasn't stopped me.
This is not the end. This is not the end. We will shine like a star.
I'm doing mechanics, I'm working, I do computers, I do art and music. I'm doing fire safety to try to become a fireman. Though I am poor, I do not consider myself poor because I feel like as long as there's a person watching over me, as long as I'm connected with my family, and as long as my legs and body work and I'm able to go out and make some money, there's no way that I will feel poor.
So, I thought that was well done just because it gives a lot of details about things we see as social workers, like the first way people come to see us a lot of times could be jobs, food insecurity, an assessment for any myriad of things. So I do like that they end on hope too, because it's kind of depressing for a minute, but it's like, no, there's some good stuff here too. So that's all I've got. You all have a good weekend. Thank you. Have a good one.
So do you, the class 100% in class was in class and